Hello everybody, welcome to Awesome Rusty Buckets. Subscribe to the channel if you have not already and drop a like on this video. It only takes 1 second and it makes a massive difference in how the video performs in the YouTube algorithm. So we're back with hot takes. I also did a hot takes podcast with my co-host Alex Hoops and Rudy very recently, and that's something we're probably going to be doing reoccurring. So if you want to get your hot takes reacted to live, look forward to those when those come out. But with that said, let's go ahead and get into it. Coby White will win Most Improved Player. You know, I have seen a lot of good stuff from Coby White in the preseason for the Bulls, and I have seen some stuff in general from the Bulls that I'm quite happy with. However, I refuse to allow them to get me to be even a little bit invested. Coby White's looked good. He's had a lot of moments of showing that he's capable of more creation. I don't know that I'm buying like him just like being an excellent starting point guard this year like a lot of people are hyping up. He's looked solid in the preseason, but I'm gonna wait to see before I say anything like that. I think as of right now, there's a good handful of people with a better shot at Most Improved Player, but Coby White wouldn't necessarily be the most surprising result. Bradley Beal is on the level of Tobias Harris, fringe all-star at best. I've never seen Tobias Harris average the most points in the NBA or anything close to that. If you want to argue now Bradley Beal is in that tier, I still strongly disagree because Beal is just a more proficient creator on the dribble for himself and his teammates. Tobias Harris is more of a play finishing guy, or like catches it and takes a dribble or two, but like quick decision making. There's different ways to evaluate and value offensive play, but in terms of just creating ability, Bradley Beal knocks Tobias Harris out of the park, and that's the thing that we generally attribute to being an excellent offensive player. He's definitely better than Tobias Harris. Josh Giddey is going to be a top 15 guy one day. You know, I don't know about top 15. It would really be dependent on his offense and I guess his defense as well. So the two sides of basketball, it would be dependent on that. No, I meant more so like his individual scoring. He's definitely taken very big strides in that, and his jump shot has looked a lot better, and he's been more of an aggressor on offense as his career has gone along, which is excellent. All positive signs. But I don't know if he's really going to be like a truly threatening jump shooter, given his size and length as a guard or wing, whatever he ends up playing at. But you know, he's kind of functioning as a point guard in many ways. I just feel like there's more he could do with that defensively than he is currently. Maybe. I do think Josh Giddey is going to be an all-star level player for sure. A top 15 is just maybe a little bit of a stretch. James Harden was justified on every trade request. Well, the first one from Houston, I think that was justified for sure, and the position Houston was in, especially how many years he had given that franchise, I think he was well within his right to ask for that trade. Then he ends up in Brooklyn. I don't know how much he was, I'm well within his right, sure, but like in the right, maybe not so much. Although I do understand the frustrations he had with Kyrie, I feel like that was something that a lot of other players would deal with in-house and actually just deal with, period, rather than just ultimately defaulting to a trade request. So I don't know about that one. That one's a little bit more fuzzy. This one, given that it's at least implied that he was believed to be getting at least a maximum contract, and then that ended up being rescinded for him, I can realize why that would be enough to make you want to go somewhere else. That's kind of a dick move if that's what actually went down, which I believe it is. I understand the trade request from Philly again, but I think the problem with James is more how he does it than that he does it. And I think just the fact that it's happened as frequently as it has. Leaving Houston only made sense, and wanting to leave Philly after the contract thing only makes sense. The Nets thing, a little bit fuzzier, and like even when leaving Houston, he employed some kind of annoying tactics just so that the Rockets would stop holding on to him and finally actually move him. It's really more optics than it is the actions themselves. Victor Wembanyama is going to win DPOY. I think I may have replied to or whatever a hot take that was like this in the past. However, with the context of seeing Wemby on the floor now in an NBA setting against real NBA players, it's compelling. Obviously, preseason play is not at its most competitive, and he was playing against lineups of like Thomas Bryant and Haywood Highsmith type stuff. So, you know, I'm not acting like he got thrown to the wolves here, but it's pretty clear that Wemby is going to be devastating as a defender pretty much out of the gate. The ability to just cover so much space and the decision making he the decision making he makes with all that length and athleticism and height and all that. A lot of other players have like physical tools like that, but don't really know where to direct it. He knows where to direct it and takes the most advantage of his size at any given point. And his ability, like especially defending the pick and roll, to like both be able to step up if the guard gets loose off of the screen to protect a pull up or maybe block them off from a driving lane, or be able to drop back, contest like a floater or mid-range shot because he's able to stretch his arm out that damn far, but also prevent a lob or like a wraparound pass or anything like that. Or if it does happen, even if he does fuck up, he can then recover rather easily just because he can cover so much ground in such a short amount of time. So yeah, Wemby is going to be a very, 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 very good defender out of the gate. DPOY is a bit of a stretch because, like, honestly, it's kind of just the way it goes. No one has ever won DPOY. There's a good chance Wemby will. I mean, maybe he will make the best case and ultimately be the one to win it that way. But it's not something that's happened before. And like even Evan Mobley, when he was a rookie, like truly one of the best defenders in the NBA right out of the gate, but like still not a DPOY guy. So yeah, I think that's how it's going to go, is we're going to recognize like, oh shit, this guy's going to win multiple DPOYs in the future, but probably not one right out of the gate. The Miami Heat are not making the play-in. I think that's a pretty ridiculous take, and honestly, I have grown to feel that the Miami Heat are underrated. I understand why obviously everyone's way more on Milwaukee and Boston, and I absolutely am too, but I feel like people think they're just going to get walked over in the postseason, and I just don't know about that. They've already had guys show ability to fill right in to be a rotation guy for them in the preseason, which is something that I said is probably just going to happen all the time with the Heat. Like being able to replace Max Struss and Gabe Vincent, very likely. I think that production can be replaced and Miami can still be a very competent playoff team. And Tyler Hero is still a good basketball player, as much as I don't really care for his archetype of player and probably never will. He's still a good player and still a guy that contributes 20 points per game on good efficiency, lots of three-point shooting, which was a huge key in Miami's success. So if they have all that, they will be a good enough team in the regular season, and they will still be a team that the Celtics or the Bucks do not want to play. Continuity is the most important part of a championship team, even more so than pure talent. Teams with better players will often lose to the team with better chemistry due to not shaking everything up every year. Yeah, I agree to an extent. All this stuff exists on like a spectrum, you know? You can have as much continuity as you want, but if your talent's not good enough, well, it sucks ass. If you do have good enough talent, but it's been put together recently, you might not succeed because you don't have the continuity. You know, you need all of these things to varying degrees. I do think it is something that is undervalued, however. No one really, a lot of people don't even mention that or factor it into a team's success or potential success, projecting them into the future, into the postseason. So yeah, continuity, most important. Not true, because we've seen teams come together in 1 year, like the 08 Celtics, for example, and fucking dominate, because talent matters ultimately. And it's a case-by-case basis. Some teams take a while to click, and sometimes they just got out of the gate, and by the time they're in the postseason, they've played a full season of basketball together, and they have a pretty good grasp of how everything's going to go. So yeah, a lot of things matter, and I don't know if I would put continuity at the very top of the list of things that matter, but it definitely is up there. Shout out to Rudy for editing this video, and goodbye.